Hi, for this assignment, I will be talking about how I would use scaffolding in my teaching approach to help English language learners and other students find the main idea and supporting details of the story Burning Point. So for my assignment, the first thing that I did was create a checklist for students that need a little extra structure and the visual cues to go along as we follow each step of the assignment and the different activities within it. As a pre-skill, I think it would be important to understand words that might stand out as vocabulary before the students are able to look for the main idea and supporting details of the story. They first need to understand a little bit of background knowledge about fires, because even those native to Florida may not have the background knowledge that someone out in the Midwest would, since we are more prominent for getting hurricanes. The words that I have chosen that may be needing a little extra explanation would be dangerous, recycle, nutrients, specialist, and careless. So what we would be using is a more of a prediction approach and have the students kind of guess, give an educated guess of what they believe that the words may mean. Then I can kind of guide them in the right direction, and as they read, they can take notes of anything that may change their mind as we're going along, or we can do this the day prior to be ready to look for that main idea. So what I've used here, just as an example, is the word dangerous as something that requires you to know how to be safe, or things that you can get hurt doing or playing with. And both of those are context clues within the first paragraph. It may be an example of what they use. So to get started, the first thing that we would do, and is listed in the instructions, is to circle in red the main ideas of the paragraph and underline the supporting details for each main idea. So as we're going through, I would use the I do, we do, you do approach. And for the I do, this would be listed on a much larger board that they would be able to see more clearly. But I would go through and read. As we're reading the first paragraph, you can see that fire is the main idea. So I would circle that main idea of fire. There is no doubt about it, fire is dangerous. So it explains a little bit about what fire is here, and as it goes down, it gives even further detail about safety precautions and how to learn about safety, and that matches should be given to adults. So dangerous would be a supporting detail of fire, because it explains further how fire is dangerous. But as we get halfway down, but if you think about it, fire can also be useful. So useful, this is supporting detail of the main idea here, because it's focusing around the dangers of fire and now the usefulness of fire, that the fireplace can be used to keep you warm on cozy wintry days, a barbecue for delicious meals, and explains the usefulness of fire. So you can see that there's that main idea of fire, and then the two supporting details, dangerous and useful. So as we go through, and I do the first, then the second, as I'm going, the students can kind of fill in the blanks. In nature, fires in forest and grasslands can be useful too. So the first line usually contains the main idea, and the students can answer as they're prompted to give an idea once we reach the end of the paragraph what they think the main idea may be. So as it talks about here, the fires in forests and grasslands, it continues to give points as to what makes it useful, that they're needed to keep the land healthy, supporting idea, that smaller fires clean out leaves and dried grass that have built up over years, and that it creates tender nutrients for animals to feed on. So as we go through the end of the story, our paper will look something like this. So we'll work on these sections together with more of the I do, we do approach, just to make sure that the students understand as we go through. To begin with our first assignment of completing the outline, Here you can see that the I do approach is followed here. So for this first paragraph, going back to, we've circled the word fire and is listed as the main idea here. Fire is dangerous. You need to learn about fire safety. Fire can be useful. Fireplaces keep you warm and cozy. And so you've got your two supporting details here. Fire is dangerous and fire is useful. So that is listed here. In the second paragraph, useful in forest and grasslands. So we've got that listed, and the supporting detail is that it's healthy for the land and that it cleans out leaves and dried grass. So for the next portion, I might ask, what is another way that fire can be useful in the forests and grasslands? What's another reason that's given here in the second paragraph? So they may know that we've gone to this point and they're going to continue reading on. And the next supporting detail we have is that it recycles dead plants and releases nutrients into the soil. So here we've got recycle dead plants by, so recycling dead plants is to support that it's useful, but why does that make it useful? Because it releases nutrients into the soil. So we've got this listed here. Then we go on to show that animals like to eat because it's tender and nutritious. As we do the we do portion, then the students, if there's any misunderstanding, then we can continue on to another section, but we would turn this portion over. So on our list of expectations here, then the students see that I want them to work in cooperative pairs. So for about 10 minutes, they will turn within their pairs and they will figure out this blue portion here. So they're going to work on paragraphs 3 and 4 to fill in the answers listed. And I'll attach mine within my posting. Then as a class, we'll come back to look at the outline, the concept map. So the outline can be transferred into the concept map pretty easily, but it helps break down even more the main points and the supporting details. So for here, as we're going through, you can see how the first paragraph and the first section in our outline supports fire as the main idea. We've got fire listed here at the very top. Fire can be, and we're going to follow one of the ideas, that fire is useful. So showing here fire is useful because it helps, and that prompts them to know that we're going to go deeper into the supporting detail that supports fire as the main idea. Fire is useful because it helps the land, as we have listed here, by cleaning out leaves and grass. And we've got that listed here. So then for our next section, we're going to look, and another reason that fire is useful because it helps, and the students can reference their outline to see how to fill out the concept map. Recycles plants, so we know that that's going to be the information that's needed there. And they're going to want 2 reasons why it's helpful. Because it helps recycle plants by, again, we're going to look here, and the students will answer releasing nutrients, which helps grass and other plants to grow. So we will have gone through this on the outline, and it'll be transferred into the concept map so they can see how there's a nice transition there. They'll continue to fill out the section. It is also helpful by helping animals which eat the new plants that return after a fire. And then the blue section they'll fill out themselves. So answers in the blue section may be, it is useful because plants need fire to release their seeds and kill insects that are harmful. And then following the other main supporting detail, that fire is dangerous, and that's supported in the 4th paragraph. Trained fire specialists set fires, and the conditions must be just right, and carelessness can cause damage. So that shows how we would fill out the outline and the concept map. Some other ideas that I would use to make sure that the students master the skills would be a word sort. So our picture sort. We're going to sort between the dangerous and useful forms of fire. So for the I do portion, I will show them a fireplace. It's very useful because it keeps you warm and cozy, as mentioned in our story. So I'm going to list this under useful. Then for the we do portion, I'm going to ask the students, this child, it looks like he's playing with fire by himself. There's no adult around, and that's a pretty large fire. So would you consider this useful or dangerous? Hopefully most of the students will answer dangerous. So then that will go under this section. The remaining pictures, as we go through, they'll do themselves. House on fire, very dangerous. Marshmallows roasting on a fireplace, not very dangerous. So that's going to be more useful, fun. And then we've got our last picture here. This picture would be acceptable to be listed under dangerous or useful because our story has explained that this can be both. So it can be very dangerous because it does look like it's a very large fire. It is very much could cause harm to wildlife, to human beings or structures that may be in the way. So it's acceptable for this picture to be listed both under dangerous and useful because of the information that we have in our story, that new life will come from this, that some trees are relying on this fire for it to flourish, and because it's still going to be a healthy home for some animals. So it's acceptable to be listed under either one. The last example of something I might use for scaffold teaching is to do a summary of the story. So the students can use their outlines or their concept maps to help create a summary. And some of the pre-skills that I've shown that they may need on my example is how to list your name at the top and list the date. Both of those are important to get credit for your assignment. And for the I do portion, we're going to look at the first sentence. Fire can be both dangerous and useful. That is the main idea of our entire paper. So that first sentence creates the idea and gets them started on what to do for the remaining sentences of the assignment. On their checklist, on the information that each student will have, there's already a list of instructions to be given, and the instructions show that the purpose of the assignment is to give a short story, a summary of the story, so that someone who's never read the story before will get a good idea of what it's about without having to read it. The summary needs to be a total of 5 to 6 sentences. Correct grammar and punctuation needs to be used. And any use of the 5 vocabulary words that we had previously worked on that are used in the summary will be awarded extra credit. So that's how I would use scaffold teaching in a couple different ways. Thank you.